Hollywood shines like an empire of dreams, a place where stories come to life and the impossible becomes reality. Millions of people around the world follow their favorite stars with fascination, watch the grand awards shows, and immerse themselves in the fantasy that the entertainment industry offers. But behind the cameras, away from the spotlights, there are rumors of something much darker, an invisible force that manipulates careers, controls narratives, and decides who will succeed and who will be forgotten. Over the years, enigmatic signs have appeared in movies, music videos, and even celebrity speeches. Mysterious deaths, hidden symbols, and reports of artists who tried to escape this system raise suspicions that Hollywood is not just a center of entertainment, but a stage for something much bigger. Is there really a secret cult behind the film industry? Welcome to another night where mysteries never sleep. I am Midnight, and this is 7 Nights. Before we begin, I'd like to ask for your help. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's just a click, but it makes a huge difference in helping YouTube recommend the videos to more people and allowing me to continue bringing this content to you. I'm counting on you. Let's get to the video. Hollywood has always been the grand stage of dreams, where talents turn into legends and careers can change overnight. But what truly defines who reaches the top? The most obvious answer would be talent, effort, and opportunities. However, some strange patterns raise an intriguing question. Could there be an invisible structure behind the scenes, controlling who rises and who disappears? Over the decades, various celebrities have reported feeling trapped within the industry. Marilyn Monroe, one of the most iconic stars of the 20th century, once mentioned in interviews that her life did not belong to her. Jim Carrey has made ironic statements about how Hollywood operates, suggesting that the industry may not be exactly what it seems. Kanye West and other artists have also made cryptic comments, hinting that there is greater control over the careers of certain public figures. Another curious detail is how some stars seemingly emerge from nowhere and quickly become global phenomena. Certain artists receive intense media exposure, multi-million-dollar contracts, and meteoric rises, while others, despite their talent and dedication, never manage to break through. Is it just a matter of marketing and investment, or are there other factors at play? There are also those who, after reaching the peak of success, begin to exhibit strange behaviors or express dissatisfaction with the industry. Britney Spears, for example, spent years under a legal conservatorship that restricted virtually every aspect of her life. Her fight to regain control over her career and personal decisions caught public attention and raised questions about just how much freedom artists truly have within this system. Another intriguing pattern involves the radical transformation of certain celebrities over time. Many start their careers with a more accessible image, and as they grow in the industry, they adopt aesthetics filled with symbolism and cryptic messages. Is this change merely an artistic evolution, or does it reflect something greater? And it's not just artists who notice these dynamics. Some directors and screenwriters have subtly mentioned that certain themes and narratives are carefully shaped by major studios. Cinema and television have the power to influence behaviors and mindsets. Whoever controls these narratives, in a way, shapes how millions of people perceive the world. Another curious point is the fate of those who try to follow an independent path. Many who attempted to distance themselves from Hollywood's traditional system faced unexpected difficulties, canceled projects, terminated contracts, and reputations destroyed by media scandals. Some of these situations may be coincidences, but why do they always seem to happen to those who try to step out of line? Over the years, several public figures have mentioned, directly or indirectly, that there are unspoken rules within the industry. Some talk about the need to fulfill certain commitments to maintain their careers, while others hint that in Hollywood, nothing happens without a cost. Are these statements merely metaphors for the challenges of fame, or is there something deeper behind them? Another factor that raises suspicions is the secretive contracts signed by many celebrities. Beyond financial and image commitments, there are reports of clauses that even limit what they can publicly say. Could this explain why so many public figures prefer to avoid certain topics when questioned in interviews? Regardless of what one believes, one thing is certain: Hollywood is not just a center of entertainment. It is a powerful machine where narratives are built and careers are meticulously planned. But how far does this control go? Who truly makes the decisions that shape this industry? If there is a structure behind the scenes controlling the fate of the stars, what is its true motivation? Have you ever noticed how certain symbols repeatedly appear in movies, music videos, and Hollywood events? All-seeing eyes, triangles, references to mythological figures. For many, these are nothing more than artistic choices. But why do these images emerge so frequently, often in contexts that seem unrelated to the story being told? Many of these symbols have ancient roots, associated with discrete societies and esoteric knowledge. The eye within the triangle, for example, is often interpreted as a symbol of surveillance and power. But why does it appear on album covers, at award ceremonies, and even in children's animations? Is it merely an aesthetic resource, or does it hold a deeper meaning? Another intriguing detail is the gestures made by some celebrities, covering one eye, forming triangles with their hands, making specific signs during live performances. Are these just coincidences, references to pop culture, or a way to demonstrate belonging to something greater? At major award ceremonies, musical performances, and even fashion events, symbolism-laden presentations spark questions. Some stagings seem to depict processes of transformation, domination, and even submission. During the 2012 Super Bowl, for example, Madonna appeared dressed in elements reminiscent of ancient deities, surrounded by figures in attire resembling mystical ceremonies. Of course, this could just be a costume choice, but why do so many performances follow similar themes? Even the Oscar statuette has a curious design: a golden man, arms crossed holding a sword, in a pose reminiscent of ancient Egyptian sculptures. Is this just an artistic reference, or is there a specific reason behind its form? Another intriguing question involves films and series that frequently address the theme of secret societies, initiation rituals, and mysterious pacts. Eyes Wide Shut, by Stanley Kubrick, is one of the most discussed examples. The film portrays a select group that holds secretive meetings filled with symbolism and hidden hierarchies. Shortly after completing the film, Kubrick suddenly passed away. Coincidence, or had he revealed something that disturbed certain people? Beyond cinema, the music industry also seems to follow a peculiar pattern. Many artists undergo radical transformations throughout their careers, drastically changing their images and incorporating more enigmatic visual elements. Is this just a marketing strategy to remain relevant, or is some kind of transition happening behind the scenes? Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, and other stars have made statements suggesting that once inside the industry, their lives became strictly controlled. Some have mentioned feeling like they sold their souls, while others report a gradual loss of identity over time. Are these just metaphors for the challenges of fame, or are they attempts to express something deeper? Many of these symbolic references also appear in music videos and lyrics. Some videos explicitly depict narratives of control, manipulation, and liberation, artists portrayed as prisoners, trying to escape or undergoing extreme transformations. Are these merely artistic representations of what happens in these musicians' personal lives, or a reflection of something more real behind the scenes? The concept of predictive programming suggests that certain information is gradually introduced to the public, subtly inserted into pop culture. This way, when something similar happens in reality, it no longer seems so shocking or unexpected. Are some of the darker themes we see in entertainment just fiction, or a warning about how certain structures truly operate? If these symbols and narratives are merely creative choices, why do they appear so consistently and in such varied contexts? Are they used only for attention-grabbing purposes, or are they coded messages for those who know how to interpret them? Many believe that the greatest challenge for a celebrity is achieving fame. But what if the real challenge begins after success? Strangely, numerous artists who reach the top start facing unexpected problems, emotional breakdowns, sudden disappearances, and in some cases, tragic situations. Is all this merely the consequence of industry pressure, or is there a hidden pattern behind these downfalls? Heath Ledger, known for his role as the Joker, deeply immersed himself in the character and, according to reports, began experiencing difficulty sleeping and maintaining emotional stability. Shortly afterward, he was found dead from an accidental overdose. The same happened with other industry figures like Avicii and Amy Winehouse, both brilliant talents who seemed to be at odds with the system they belonged to. Paul Walker also fits this pattern. Involved in philanthropic projects and increasingly distant from Hollywood's traditional circuit, he died in a car accident that sparked numerous speculations. Technical reports pointed to unusual mechanical failures in the vehicle, leading some to question whether the incident was really just an accident. Another intriguing case is Michael Jackson. For years, he spoke openly about feeling exploited by the music industry. On multiple occasions, he mentioned that there were people trying to silence him. Soon after, his life came to a sudden end, and his discography generated billions in revenue for the same corporations he had fought against. The same happened with Prince, who had regained the rights to his work shortly before his death. Whitney Houston and her daughter, Bobby Christina, met eerily similar fates, dying under disturbingly identical circumstances. Are these isolated cases, or signs that certain trajectories follow a predetermined cycle? What stands out is that many of these public figures showed, in some way, an intention to change direction. Some wanted to leave the industry, others were exposing questionable practices, and some simply seemed to want more control over their own careers. But does Hollywood really allow someone to leave the game so easily? The idea that industry contracts involve more than just professional obligations is not new. Artists frequently mention that upon signing, they feel they lose autonomy over their own lives. Kanye West once suggested that the price of fame may be higher than people imagine. Is this just a personal reflection, or a hint at something larger? Another curiosity is the way the media handles these events. Whenever a celebrity faces trouble, the official narrative emerges quickly: exhaustion, substance abuse, emotional crisis. In some cases, this might be the real explanation. But why do so many stories follow the exact same pattern? In cinema, certain films address this issue symbolically. Eyes Wide Shut, for example, depicts an elite that operates under its own set of rules, away from public scrutiny. Stanley Kubrick, the film's director, passed away shortly after completing the project, sparking theories about what he may have tried to expose. Another intriguing detail is that after the death of major artists, their catalogs become extremely lucrative. Michael Jackson, Prince, and Whitney Houston saw their music gain billions in value after their passing. Who truly benefits from these losses? If there really is a system behind the scenes regulating who can continue in the industry and who cannot, what are its true intentions? Many people believe that Hollywood is controlled by studio directors, producers, and billionaire executives. But are these public figures really the ones making the most important decisions? Who determines which artists will be promoted, which stories will be told, and what messages will be delivered to millions of viewers worldwide? What few realize is that behind the major studios and entertainment platforms, there is a much larger power structure. A small number of corporations control not only the film industry, but also music labels, television networks, and even tech giants. This means that the same web of influence shaping the entertainment industry also directs the news we consume and the music we listen to. Some of these companies belong to families and groups that have accumulated power for generations. Though rarely mentioned in public discussions, their investments extend across various strategic areas, ensuring that their influence reaches far beyond Hollywood. But what is the real impact of these connections? Jim Carrey, for example, has appeared in interviews mocking how the industry operates, suggesting that Hollywood is not exactly what it seems. Kanye West has also made cryptic statements about an alleged group that dictates the rules behind the scenes. Interestingly, both faced public crises shortly after making these claims. Was this just a coincidence, or a reflection of how the industry reacts when certain issues are brought to light? Another point that stands out is how some artists, when trying to pursue independent paths, encounter unexpected obstacles. Projects are canceled, funding disappears, and suddenly, their public images come under attack. Mel Gibson, for example, saw his career nearly collapse after making controversial statements. Did he try to expose something that he shouldn't have? Even the content of mainstream films and music follows peculiar patterns. Have you noticed how certain themes are repeated endlessly over the decades? Narratives about mind control, secret societies, and power packs appear consistently in pop culture. Why are these ideas so prevalent in entertainment? Is it mere coincidence, or a way of familiarizing the public with certain concepts? Hollywood's influence over public perception is enormous. Cinema and television shape behaviors, influence social debates, and even affect how history is told. Those who control this narrative, in large part, define the worldview of billions of people. Another intriguing detail is the number of artists who, after reaching a certain level of success, begin to distance themselves from the industry. Some disappear for years, others make cryptic statements, and some simply vanish from the spotlight without explanation. Dave Chappelle, for example, walked away from a million-dollar career and isolated himself from the world for years. When he returned, he hinted that Hollywood has a dark side that few are willing to talk about. These patterns raise an inevitable question. Why do some artists face resistance when trying to leave this system? Does Hollywood really allow someone to exit without consequences? If there is indeed an influence network operating behind the scenes, what is its true purpose? Success in Hollywood seems like an unattainable dream for many, but for those who achieve it, reality may be very different from what they imagined. Once inside this system, few manage to leave without consequences. But how does this structure keep so many artists trapped, even those who have accumulated fortunes and worldwide recognition? One of the main control mechanisms is million-dollar contracts. On paper, they guarantee high-budget films, world tours, and massive advertising campaigns. But what most people don't know is that these contracts often come with restrictive clauses that drastically limit the freedom of artists. Some leaked documents have shown that certain contracts prevent celebrities from speaking on specific topics, from leaving the industry on their own terms, and in some cases, even from making decisions about their own image and career. Beyond contracts, there is also the issue of psychological control. Many artists enter the industry at a young age, without fully understanding the rules of the game. From the beginning, they are surrounded by agents, managers, and executives who shape their careers and public image. Over time, they become dependent on these figures to make any decisions, and by the time they realize they have lost control over their own lives, it is already too late. Another intriguing factor is how the media and public opinion are used to keep artists within the system. Whenever a celebrity tries to distance themselves or expose something sensitive, their image starts to be attacked in a coordinated manner. Suddenly, scandals appear in newspapers, harsh criticisms arise, and smear campaigns emerge. Often, these stories lack concrete evidence, but repeated exposure in the media is enough to destroy someone's reputation. The patterns repeat disturbingly. Singers and actors who attempt independent paths frequently encounter unexpected financial struggles, even after amassing millions throughout their careers. Reports of unfair contracts and financial fraud appear repeatedly in lawsuits against major labels and studios. Could this just be mismanagement, or a deliberate way to keep these stars perpetually dependent on the system? Another curious detail is the drastic changes that some celebrities undergo over the years. Many start their careers with a light, approachable image, but as they rise in the industry, they experience radical transformations. Some claim this is just artistic evolution, but others see a stranger pattern: sudden shifts in behavior, incoherent speech in interviews, and signs of emotional exhaustion. Cases like Amanda Bynes and Lindsay Lohan exemplify this. Both started displaying erratic behaviors, were admitted to clinics, and later disappeared from the mainstream media. Britney Spears went through something similar, and only years later did the public discover that she had been under an extreme control regime. How many other artists might be experiencing similar situations without the public realizing it? Additionally, some stars appear to be forced into following specific narratives within the industry. Artists who refuse to participate in certain events or promote particular messages often face silent boycotts. Could this explain why some promising careers suddenly disappear without explanation? If so many artists claim to feel like they don't have control over their own lives, why do so few speak openly about it? The answer may lie in fear of the consequences. When someone tries to expose the truth, the system quickly moves to discredit them. But if there were nothing to hide, why would such aggressive reactions occur? If Hollywood truly has invisible ties that keep its stars bound, what are the limits of this control? What happens when a celebrity decides they no longer want to play by the industry's rules? For many, fame is the pinnacle of success, but for some stars, it seems to turn into a prison. Artists who attempt to distance themselves from the system often face unexpected difficulties, public breakdowns, or completely disappear from the spotlight. Is it merely the pressure of fame, or is there something deeper at play? Dave Chappelle is one of the most well-known examples. At the height of his career, his comedy show was one of the most watched in the United States. But suddenly, he turned down a multi-million-dollar contract and vanished, traveling to Africa. When he returned years later, he hinted that something within the industry had made him want to step away, though he never went into details. What did he see that made him walk away from everything at the peak of his career? Britney Spears also went through a similar process. For years, her career was strictly controlled. In 2007, when she had a public breakdown, the official narrative was that she was struggling with psychological issues. But what if it wasn't just that? Documents and later reports revealed that her life was being managed by others, without her having autonomy over her career or personal decisions. Another intriguing case is Kanye West. The rapper has made multiple statements suggesting that the entertainment industry has a power structure that controls its artists. Shortly after these claims, his public image was attacked, he lost multi-million-dollar contracts, and his presence in the media was drastically reduced. Was this merely a natural consequence of his statements, or a calculated reaction to what he was exposing? Jim Carrey also distanced himself from the industry after making ironic comments about Hollywood. In interviews, he stated that fame was a great illusion and that the industry was not exactly as the public imagined. Soon after, his name started appearing in stories about strange behavior and isolation. Did he simply choose to step away, or was he facing resistance behind the scenes? Additionally, some artists have reported that upon reaching success, they felt as though they were losing control over their own lives. Lady Gaga mentioned in interviews that she felt like a puppet within the industry. Katy Perry made a similar statement, half-jokingly saying that she had sold her soul to achieve stardom. Are these just metaphors for the challenges of fame, or subtle attempts to express something they cannot openly say? Another concerning pattern is how artists who try to expose certain topics end up being discredited, ridiculed, or facing career troubles. Amanda Bynes, a child star who grew up in the spotlight, started speaking about problematic issues behind the scenes of the industry, and shortly after, she was diagnosed with mental disorders and disappeared from the media. The case of Avicii also raises questions. The Swedish DJ was involved in a documentary that would reportedly explore dark aspects of the music industry. Shortly before its release, he was found dead. Officially, his death was ruled as suicide, but to some, the timing seemed too strange to be mere coincidence. Another curious detail is that many of these stars who tried to leave the system exhibited similar behavior before their breakdowns or disappearances. Some mentioned feeling like they were being controlled, while others talked about no longer wanting to be part of the industry. But does Hollywood really allow someone to exit the game so easily? If something is being hidden, why are those who try to speak out silenced? And if these stories are mere coincidences, why do so many cases follow the same pattern? For a long time, Hollywood managed to maintain its aura of mystery, glamour, and perfection. But in recent years, something has changed. Information that once existed only as whispers behind the scenes has begun to leak. Artists have started speaking more openly about the industry's challenges, and the public has begun to question patterns that once seemed normal. Are we finally seeing what has always been hidden? With the rise of the internet, information has become more accessible and decentralized. In the past, narratives were controlled by major studios and traditional media. Now leaks, unexpected statements, and confidential documents spread quickly. And as more people start connecting the dots, Hollywood's once untouchable image seems to be cracking. Actress Rose McGowan was one of the first to openly expose abusive practices within the industry. Her accusations triggered a wave of revelations that made the world look at Hollywood from a new perspective. If this part of the story was true and remained hidden for so long, what else might be kept secret? Another intriguing detail is that the more this information comes to light, the more we see efforts to discredit those who bring it forward. Celebrities who make statements about sensitive topics are often labeled as unstable, face career difficulties, or simply disappear from the spotlight. This pattern repeats so often that it's impossible not to wonder, what needs to be kept away from public attention? Films and TV shows also seem to reflect this shift. Productions that once treated certain themes as pure fiction are now beginning to address topics that feel closer to reality. Is this just a new narrative trend, or a way to introduce certain truths in disguise? The big question is, why would this control structure fear information so much? If all of this were just speculation, wouldn't it be easier to ignore? Yet instead, we see increasing efforts to discredit, ridicule, or censor certain topics. Hollywood has always been a powerful machine, capable of influencing entire generations. But if there is really something hidden behind the scenes, what will happen when the full truth is exposed? Is the public ready to see the entertainment industry beyond what has always been shown? Perhaps everything that has been uncovered so far is just the surface of something much larger. If that is the case, what else is still hidden? Hollywood has always been a stage for dreams, where talents shine and unforgettable stories are told. But when we look closer, the lights don't seem so blinding, and the shadows become more evident. What was once dismissed as mere speculation is now gaining strength with each new piece of the puzzle. Could we be witnessing the downfall of an empire that, for years, remained untouchable? If there is indeed a secret cult controlling the industry, what else might be hidden between the lines? How many stories have been buried? How many warnings ignored? And how many have paid a high price for trying to escape? One thing is certain, more and more people are beginning to connect the dots. And when the veil is fully lifted, will we be ready to face the truth? This story is just one piece, and one day, you might see the whole puzzle. If this made you think, subscribe, like the video. It helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share. After all, more voices mean more discoveries.